Today we're going to be talking about wildfires. My name is Melissa Jordan. You can also call me Mel. I am AmeriCorps for this region, and I work on the home fire campaign and also teach about preparedness. Dave, could you introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi everybody. My name is David Faust. I'm a volunteer with the American Red Cross for a few years. Retired, worked in the water utilities and responsible for emergency preparedness for our facility. And I've been participating in community preparedness education for a while, and also I'm a damage assessment team member where we have a group in the Red Cross that goes out to home fires and helps people that are displaced and affected by fires in their home, and also work at some of our bigger fires on the temporary evacuation points that are set up, especially this last year. But it's a pleasure to be with you today.
Okay, so before we get started, we're going to go over a little bit of housekeeping. So today you can use the chat for any questions that you have. You can also use the raise hand feature. We'll be stopping at certain points to answer questions. So you can raise your hand or you can put your questions in the chat and we can get to them as we go along. It's also good so that you don't forget your question. Um, as Kim was saying earlier, you can turn your camera on if you would like, but a reminder that this meeting is being recorded. So if you turn your camera on, you will have to sign a release form.
So we're going to be using the chat box for communicating uh, between us, and so let's start with testing the chat box. On a scale of 1 to 10, how prepared were you for your last emergency? Just put your answers in the chat box, and Mel will read your answers out loud to me.
Okay, I'm seeing a 5, a 6, another 5, 7, 6, a lot of 7s, some more
Good.
5s, some 7s. Okay.
All right, very good. So a lot of you folks are in pretty good shape, and hopefully we can tune up a little bit of your preparedness. And here's are some of the goals that we hope to achieve by you participating in this presentation today. And hopefully we can answer these questions, and that you'll have a better understanding of what a wildfire is and what are the potential impacts are on your family and yourself. How your family can be better prepared before a wildfire, what your family can do during a wildfire event to stay safe, and what can your family and community do after a wildfire event to recover and make yourselves more resilient for the future. So that's our goal. But let's first define what is a wildfire. A wildfire is an unplanned or unwanted fire burning in a natural area, such as forest, grasslands, or prairie. It's unpredictable, it's fast moving, and it can be very destructive. uh, Wildfires are really increasing in size and intensity across the United States, and these trends are expected to continue. For example, last year in 2020 in California, the Cal Fire reports that there were over 9,600 fires in the state, burning over 4 million acres of land, and unfortunately, 33 fatalities. So, as communities expand into natural areas and homes are increasingly situated in or near areas prone to wildfires, we call that the wildland urban interface. Uh, we're going to have more fires. In fact, 1/3 of all homes in the United States are in the wildland urban interface and faced with enhanced wildfire risk. So, no matter where or how they start, wildfires can be unpredictable and fast moving, and they pose a danger to not only people, but to animals and to structures. Winds can carry burning embers a mile or more away, and wildfires can even create their own winds, which are so strong that it's unsafe for firefighting aircraft. And in the right conditions, an ember can start a fire that grows out of control within just minutes. And so the amount of destruction a wildfire can cause depends on several factors. These include the area size, the landscape, the amount of fuel or burnable debris, the wind, and they can also impact transportation routes, power, telecommunications, and other important infrastructures. And then there's the long-term ecological impacts, such as not only do they consume tens of thousands of acres, but they can damage critical natural areas and they can impact watersheds, and they often increase the risk of flooding and then mudslides for many years. In fact, we recently just had some evacuation warnings and alerts for certain areas of the San Bernardino Mountains because of the potential for flooding and mudslides with the winter storms. This photograph that you're seeing here is a picture of the El Dorado fire, which occurred in September 2020. And in fact, in the Southern California region, we had several major fires, not only El Dorado, but the Apple Fire, the Snow Fire, the Bobcat Fire, the Ranch 2 fires that were down in the Irvine area, and the Valley Fire down in San Diego area, just to name a few. So here's a pop quiz we want to give you, uh, and you can put your answers in the chat box. What is the most common cause of wildfires? Mel will read your responses.
Okay, I see lightning, arson, lightning strikes again. Any more guesses? I see people.
Well,
Yeah.
those are all great answers, and I thank you for your responses. And that last one that came in is right. People uh, 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 account for 85% of all wildfires, and we'll go into more detail about that and talking about the causes. Wildfires can happen at any time of the year and anywhere in the United States, uh, and there are many causes of wildfires. You guys mentioned a few: lightning and even strong winds, which can bring down power lines, and we've certainly seen that in California. But these only really account for about 10 to 15% of the wildfires. According to the National Park Service, people do cause 85% to 90% of the wildfires through either burning debris, carelessly using outdoor equipment like grills or lawn maintenance equipment, et cetera, or discarding cigarettes, leaving campfires unattended, and even arson. And now we can even add gender reveal parties to our list. So there are things that you can do to prevent wildfires, though, such as don't drive your vehicle onto dry grass or brush because hot components under your vehicle can spark fires. Use outdoor equipment responsibly. Lawnmowers, chainsaws, tractors, and trimmers can all spark wildfires. Use caution anytime you use fire. Dispose of charcoal briquettes and fireplace ashes properly, and never leave any outdoor fire unattended, and make sure that the outdoor fires are fully extinguished before leaving the area. And if residential debris is burning is allowed in your area, use caution, please. And after obtaining any necessary permits, ensure that burning is not currently restricted in your area due to dangerous fire weather conditions. In fact, I just got a no burn alert on my phone yesterday because of the dryness and winds that were occurring. Store combustible materials and flammable materials in approved safety containers away from the house, and keep your gas grills and propane tanks at least 15 feet away from any structure. And don't use a grill during dangerous fire weather conditions. And then always have a fire extinguisher or hose nearby, and learn how to properly use a fire extinguisher. We often don't think about how to use one until we need it. So be prepared and learn how to use it before you need it. Well, we know that the impacts of wildfires can be devastating, and all these things can happen as a result of a wildfire. Death and injury to people and animals, and homes and businesses can be damaged or destroyed. Power, water, gas, and communication outages occur, blocked or destroyed roads. Our water quality is affected because of impacts of the watersheds, and then increased erosion and landslides, flooding, and debris risk. And even if one of these things happened, it would change the lives of people for a significant amount of time. Imagine many of these things happening at once. Again, these events can and do have deep and lasting impacts. And so let's talk about the ways that we can prepare before a wildfire event. But first, just wanted to check to see if there are any questions on the materials that we've covered so far.
Okay, I see one question in the chat.
Sure.
How might one practice using a fire extinguisher? Once you use it to practice, do you have to throw it away?
Yeah, typically, a lot of fire extinguishers, especially the smaller ones that you buy in the home, are kind of a one-time use. The larger, more commercial that you see in around public buildings are required to be inspected annually and tested, and so they can be recharged. But um, a good way to learn how to use a fire extinguisher is contact your local fire station. They often have demonstration units that they can show you. Another way is to participate in CERT, community emergency response teams in your neighborhood, and part of their free coursework that they provide to the citizens of their communities is using how to properly extinguish a small fire with a fire extinguisher, and it's kind of fun to practice too. But there are some tips and ways to use it properly, and that's something good to learn.
Great
Thank you.
question. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So let's talk about understanding your risk. Um, Find out if you live first in an area prone to wildfires, and consider reaching out to your state or local government emergency management agency for help in understanding your local fire risk. And you can contact your local fire department, as they can also help you understand your wildfire risk. And by working with your local government emergency management agency, you can familiarize yourself with your community's updated response plan. And then, based on what you learn about your location and the community plans and the circumstances, then you can make your own vac- evacuation plans. You can learn about your local fire departments by going to the website apps.usfa.fema.gov. Maybe we can put that in the chat. Um, let's talk next about some of the health impacts, because it's important to know that wildfires can impact your health, especially because of the wildfire smoke. And wildfire smoke is a complex mixture of air pollutants that are harmful to human health. And in fact, in where I live, I'm not in a neighborhood that could be directly impacted by a wildfire from the fire itself, but from the smoke. We've certainly been impacted by fires around me, from the smoke from wildfires that were 10, 15, 20 miles away. And so exposure to these air pollutants that are components of wildfire smoke can do a lot of damage, such as irritate your lungs, cause inflammation, alter your body's immune functions, make you more susceptible to respiratory infections, cause coughing and difficulty breathing, and even exacerbate asthma conditions. Here's a picture in this slide of the Apple Fire, which occurred last July 2020, up around the Cherry Valley Oak Glen area. So you can prepare your home by creating defensible spaces. And so we're going to focus now on preparing and protecting yourself and members of your household, and and your home in the event of a wildfire. So a wildfire can threaten a home in three ways: through wind-blown embers, contact with the flames, and directly through the heat. But the good news is that you can make your home more resistant to these threats, and you can do it by removing debris and brush and other flammable materials that are near your home, and regularly removing regularly cleaning the flammable debris that might accumulate on your roofs and gutters, like tree leaves and pine needles, and using fire resistant construction materials. And then landscaping with fire resistant plants around your house, And so it's a good idea to review your insurance policy because some hazards damage property regardless of how prepared you are. And that's why homeowners and renters insurance are so important. And speaking of renters, if you are renting an apartment or a home, it's important to know what your landlord's insurance will not cover as far as damage to your possessions in the event of a disaster. Renter's insurance is often inexpensive, but it can have a significant impact because it pays for your damaged or destroyed or personal property. And again, regarding your home, ensure your address is clearly marked and that your street sign can be seen easily by emergency responders. And ensure this is the case throughout your neighborhood, as this can help your community during a disaster. Let's talk about defensible spaces. Well, any house can burn under severe conditions. Defensible spaces significantly increase the odds your home will survive during a wildfire. It's also important and it makes it easier for firefighters to defend. And it's your responsibility to maintain a defensible space anywhere from 30 to 100 feet, depending on the vegetation around your home and the distance between your house and the nearest buildings. And you may have to work with your neighbors even to maintain that defensible space. A well-maintained defensible space minimizes combustibility, which makes it harder for wildfires to reach your house. And in some ways, to maintain your defensible space includes conducting regular vegetation maintenance, selecting plants carefully, keeping shrubs and grasses closest to your house at least 2 feet tall and less than 2 feet tall and away from windows, and following plant separation guidelines. And be sure again to remove all dead or dying plant materials promptly, as it is extremely flammable. And this includes tree branches, vines, shrubs, annuals, grasses, pine needles, leaf litter, and cuttings. And again, especially on your roof and your gutters. Remember to follow all safety guidelines for power tools and be aware of spark production from tools, and don't do maintenance during fire conditions. Professional assistance may be required for some tasks, such as tree trimming. Any questions on preparing your home and creating defensible spaces or the health impacts of wildfires? So
Just
I
keeping
put
an eye on the chat.
Sure.
Also a reminder, if you don't feel like typing out your question, you can also use the raise hand feature and we'll call on you to unmute if that's a better option for you.
Great. Thanks, Mel. So I've got some website references here at the bottom of this page. If you're in Orange County, Orange County Fire Authority.org/RSVSG, or if you're in Riverside County, it's rvcfire.org, or for San Bernardino County, sbcfire.org, if you want to learn more about creating those defensible spaces around your homes. So let's prepare to meet your basic needs and talk a little bit about that. So you can prepare to meet your basic needs by learning critical skills and gathering critical supplies. And we'll talk very specifically about the supplies next. But the skills that should take the time to learn now include learning first aid and CPR. And the Red Cross has a variety of online classes to learn these skills. You can also download the free first aid app from on your smartphone, and learn how to turn off your utilities in case you're instructed to do so by local authorities, and also learn to use safety equipment like generators or backup power supplies for your medical equipment if that applies to you. And when gathering your emergency supplies, give yourself enough time. Create, of course, because of COVID epidemic, home delivery is really the safest choice for buying supplies. However, it may not be an option for everyone. So if in-person shopping is your only choice, take steps to protect the health of yourself and others by running only essential errands, and protect yourself and others by limiting in-person visits to the pharmacy, or by signing up for mail order or delivery options for prescriptions, or call ahead and ahead of time and use drive-through windows or curbside pickup when available. It's a good idea to keep a 1 month supply of prescription medications, as well as over-the-counter medications like cough suppressants and fever-reducing drugs, and medical supplies or equipment that you use. And keep these items together in a separate container so you can take them with you if you need to evacuate. So that's why we talk about having a go bag, which is really a 3-day supply of basic needs. And this go bag kit should be lightweight and a smaller version that you can take with you if you need to evacuate for a long period of time. So include everything you need to be on your own for 3 days in your go bag. And especially to prepare for wildfire events, getting N95 masks, which can help protect your lungs from smoke, or cloth masks or damp cloths, they don't provide enough protection from smoke. Just a note on N95s. It's awful hard to get N95s right now. I mean, if you were to go to Amazon and Google N95, you're going to see something called a KN95 for sale. They work the same as an N95 mask. Um, the N95s are actually they're approved through the United States of America. KN95s are actually approved through the standards in China. But they both will work in a N95 or an N95, but either one would help you in this need. So make sure you got some masks in your go bag if you're in an area where wildfire smoke is a concern. So let's look at an example supply list. 1 gallon of water per person per day, non-perishable food that's easy to prepare. If you're going to get canned food, make sure you have a can opener. Medications, we talked about the 30-day supply, including a first aid kit, a copy of your prescriptions in case they need to be refilled while you're away from home, and then a battery backup power for power-supported mobility devices and oxygen. 1 gallon per person per day is up to 7 days would be great, but if it's for your home and you were in a shelter-in-place situation, having a 2-week supply is even preferable. Um, don't feel like you've got to get all these things though together tomorrow and immediately. Build your supply kit over time, and just each week when you go to if you go to the store or you make your purchases, just include an item that and maybe a little extra to provide that emergency backup that you might need if you had to evacuate or shelter in place for a couple of weeks. So include things like tools and safety items, hygiene and sanitation, protective gear, baby supplies, cash, keys, comfort items, and don't forget your pets. Your pets need to be cared for as well too. Um, and so we want to make sure that we they you have enough pet supplies and food and carriers and bowls for them as well too. Let's talk about critical documents too, because disaster survivors have reported that losing their important documents delayed their ability to recover. And so build your household's capacity to recover quickly by taking the time now to safeguard your personal, financial, insurance, medical, and other records. Having important documents will help you start recovering right away. And so if you're going to store your documents in a file box, make sure it's a fireproof or waterproof container or a safe in your home next to your emergency kit. You can also store copies in alternative locations like in a safety deposit box, or maybe copies at work or with a trusted friend. And I think it's a great idea to consider making electronic copies and keeping them on a flash drive. I actually have a little thumb drive that is on my keychain that I've scanned in, my driver's license, my insurance paperwork, even my passport's on there. All these, even my trust documents, all these things can be scanned and uploaded electronically onto a thumb drive that you just take with you. And it's right there with your keys. If you're going to jump in the car, you don't have to go searching for them. We also have a hard copy of all the important papers in a red binder that we know that's the important stuff that we would need to grab in an emergency. And these are going to be helpful to you if you have to contact agencies to get help. Um, You might also want to include photographs of valuable belongings that you'll need to report to the insurance company if they're lost after a disaster. So, for more information on how to get started, you can visit websites like the American Red Cross or the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants or the National Endowment for Financial Education. They all have resources to help you through and getting prepared and how to store your critical documents. So evacuation planning is another component of before the wildfire happens. So if you live in an area that's prone to wildfires, it's you need to be prepared to evacuate. So take the time now to plan for an evacuation and discuss the potential need for emergency shelter with your friends or relatives that are outside of your area. Do some research on hotels and motels and campgrounds that are possible places to go in an evacuation. And then you can also find out what sheltering resources are available from local emergency management or from the free Red Cross emergency app, and learn about your community evacuation points, assembly points, and other places people gather for safety and evacuation. If you have a disability and or need assistance walking, have low vision, or are blind, deaf, or hard of hearing, make sure that your evacuation plan is fully comprehensive and that uh, everyone in your family, including any care providers, all are aware of it. So assess your abilities and needs before, during, and after a disaster, and create a personal support network to assist you. If you receive regular medical treatment, work with your healthcare provider to determine how to maintain treatment if you must evacuate. And, it's always a good idea to know your neighbors, and because they may need help also. Have a transportation plan and consider the vehicles or vehicles that you will use, the routes you'll take. Have a couple of routes to get out of your neighborhood and out of the community if necessary, in case one is impassable. And always make it a habit to keep a half a tank of gas in your car so that you don't have to first go to the gas station and wait in a long line to fill up your tank. My dad always considered a half a tank of gas an empty tank. And so he was very religious about that. And always keep an eye on the conditions in your area. You may not receive an evacuation order as these systems are not perfect, but being prepared to take the initiative if you determine the need to evacuate. You know, no matter what you might get an alert, or if even if you don't have an alert, uh, don't wait. If you feel unsafe, you can evacuate. No one's going to prevent you from leaving your home. But if you are advised to evacuate, be prepared, leave immediately, and take your go bag of emergency supplies.
Hey Dave, we have a question.
Sure.
Okay, so the question is, are electric leaf blowers with lithium batteries more susceptible to starting fires than gas ones?
Hmm. I I wouldn't think so, other than the batteries themselves might possibly be a source of combustion where they're stored, but just the use of them themselves uh, is not going to wouldn't be any higher risk. I would think a gasoline motor is going to have an opportunity to give off possibly sparks if it was if somehow the spark arrestor had been modified or damaged, and uncombusted fuel or sparks were being ejected from the device.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
that
I
would
agree. Yeah, I would
yeah,
treat any leaf blower as a potential during fire weather. Just be careful with those, definitely.
very good. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, monitoring changing conditions. So, through local networks, uh, you can register for alerts and notifications from your community or municipality, and that's important to be able to receive instructions from your local officials, even during a power outage. So be sure to keep track of fires near you so you can be ready to evacuate quickly. And I've actually seen our fire authorities in Southern California, especially, have been really great at proactive about using all the different venues of social media to make the public aware of just what the status is on particular fires. And then again, you can also use the Red Cross emergency app. A lot of counties also have alert systems as well that you can register for. And so understand your community's plan on how they notify people, especially those that with disabilities. And also consider buying a portable battery powered radio to receive information from local authorities during a power outage or to get sometimes some units have text displays and flash alerts for those that are deaf or hard of hearing. And so you can get national resources on fire outlook through weather.gov fire if you want to go deeper into that. So you can also use the air quality index by the AQMD to evaluate local and regional air quality conditions, or you can go to airnow.gov to find information about wildfire smoke and air quality. And if there is a large wildfire in your area, the Air Resources Advisory may be issued to provide regular wildfire smoke outdoors. And again, that's been an issue where I live. Is it's not so much the fire, it's the smoke that could potentially be a problem, especially because I have family members that are asthmatic. So keep an eye on what's happening outside, and sometimes warnings don't come through, and we just need to be prepared to act. So let me explain a little bit about wildfire alerts, because sometimes we see these on social media posted when fires are occurring. And so the first is a these are often issued by the National Weather Service due to weather conditions such as strong winds or low humidity, and high temperatures make wildfires more likely to occur. And sometimes our local fire authorities will also issue these warnings as well. So a fire weather watch means potentially dangerous fire weather conditions are possible over the next 12 to 72 hours. So what you do, you monitor for updates, you make sure your kits are prepared and ready to go. A red flag warning means if fire danger exists and weather patterns that support wildfires are either occurring or expected to occur within 24 hours. And so authorities may issue a fire weather watch before a warning, but a warning may also be the initial notification. So they just might jump right to the red flag warning. And then during a fire, an extreme fire behavior alert may be issued. And this means that the wildfire is erratic, intense, and likely to rage out of control. And often our local fire authorities will post maps that show, well, these are under watch, these are under warning, and these are mandatory evacuations. So be connected and be aware of what resources are out there so that you can be safe and be better prepared on what's happening. Having a communication plan is important because communication networks such as mobile phones and computers can be unreliable during and after a wildfire event, and as electricity could be down. So build the capacity of all the members of your household to connect with one another during communication outages. Make sure to have a backup battery to charge your cell phone, and keep important numbers written down in case you can't access the contact list in your phone, and complete a contact card like what is shown here in the picture for each household member. Everyone should keep these cards with them always. So you can keep them in your car, fold them, put them in your wallet or your purse. And remember, texting is best. If you're using a mobile home, a text message may get through when a cell phone cannot. So make sure your household members know how to text, and be sure that the recipient confirms that they received the text message. And always designate an out of town contact who can help your household reconnect. And it may be easier to reach people outside of the affected area than within your own neighborhood. So with members of your household, plan a meeting spot that you can reconnect when it's safe to do so if the phones aren't working. I mean, you may have, most of us have family members that commute, 10, 20, 30, 50 miles away. And so our family may be scattered between work and school. So having a designated meeting spot out of the area is always a great idea in case of evacuation. And be sure to practice your communication plan with your household. That's an important part. Any questions on documents or wildfire alerts or having a communication plan?
Not seeing anything in the chat box.
Okay, let's continue on. So during an actual evacuation, it's important to respond appropriately. And uh, there's really two phases: pre-evacuation and evacuation. So all evacuation instructions provided by officials should be followed up immediately for your safety. When an evacuation is anticipated, follow these steps, and again, if time allows. Shut all windows and doors before you leave the house. Remove flammable window shades, curtains, and close the metal shutters. Move flammable furniture to the center of the room away from windows and doors. If only if advised to shut off gas at the meter and turn off pilot lights and um, shut off the air conditioning system. Let me advance the slides. Here we go. Uh, Leave your lights on so firefighters can see your house under smoking conditions. Gather up flammable items from the exterior of the house and bring them inside, such as patio furniture and toys and trash cans. And turn off propane tanks and move propane barbecues, appliances away from structures. Don't leave sprinklers on or water running because they can affect the water pressure in your area. And then think about backing your car up into the driveway with the vehicle loaded and all the doors and windows closed so that if you get the order to evacuate, you can just jump in the car and take off and make sure that your emergency kit is in your vehicle. And it's also a good idea to once there's a potential evacuation, to kind of round up your pets in maybe one location so that you don't have to spend time trying to grab all the dogs and kitties and hamsters and everything else and waste valuable time. So locate your pets and take them with you, of course, during the evacuation. And then during the if you are actually asked to evacuate, please follow the instructions and evacuate immediately. This is for your safety and leave as soon as fire officials recommend evacuation to avoid being caught in a fire or smoke or even road congestion. So if you're advised to leave, please evacuate. Officials will determine the areas to be evacuated and provide escape routes to use depending upon the fire's location, its behavior, the winds, and the terrain. And you'll be advised as potential evacuations just as early as possible. But you can take the initiative to stay informed and be aware. So listen to your radio, TV for announcements, social media. Monitor if you know that there's a fire in your area. Keep informed. And then afterwards, it's important to stay safe. Uh, and we're going to talk about now what to do after a wildfire event. So first, do not return home until authorities say it's safe to do so. Use caution when entering burned areas such as areas as hazards may still exist, including hot spots which can flare up without warning. Also, there's a possibility of damaged or fallen power lines, poles, and down wires. So if if you're in an area that had a lot of burned debris around your home, be careful of ash pits and mark them for safety. And warn family members to keep clear of the pits also. And follow public health guidance on safe cleanup of fire and ash and the safe use of masks. Keep in mind, children really shouldn't be doing any of the cleanup work. Wet down debris to minimize breathing in dust particles and wear leather gloves and heavy soled shoes to protect your hands and feet. Um, Consider putting these also in your emergency kit, especially if wildfires are a risk in your area. Cleaning products, paint, batteries, and damaged fuel containers should be disposed of properly. But we want you to stay healthy. So if there any food that may have been perishable, if there's any doubt, throw it out. Especially if it's been exposed to heat or smoke, and Do not ever use water that you think may have been contaminated to wash dishes, brush your teeth, prepare food, wash hands, make ice, or even baby formula. So use that water supply that we've talked about, 1 gallon per person per day. I like to keep on hand those 2.5 gallon water jugs because they have a nice handle in the center, and that's 2 gallons. So my wife and I, that's enough um, for the two of us for one day. So grabbing 3 of those is our 3-day supplies, and easy to grab if you as part of our go bag.
We have another question.
Sure.
Okay, so is there someone in general you would recommend to teach us how to shut off gas if we have no idea how to do that at our house?
Well, you certainly could contact the gas company, and again, it's important to don't preemptively and just without being advised to shut your gas off, because that's going to delay your recovery when you do come back home. Now you've got to have possibly have the gas company come out and relight your pilots for you. And I tell you, they're going to be swamped, and getting to your house is going to be kind of low on the list. So, but the gas company would be happy to provide that service. A lot of community organizations, CERT, fire, even the Boy Scouts are taught how to do that properly. So, and I don't know if you remember in the old days when we used to have telephone books, there used to be the first few pages of the telephone book would be all the emergency preparedness things, and one of those was how to turn off a gas meter. Some people find it's pretty handy to keep a crescent wrench um, on a zip tie right next to the gas meter, uh, especially if it's not in an area where you're worried about any mischief or vandalism. But so you don't have to look for a tool because it's really easy to use just a crescent wrench to turn off the gas. It's just typically it's just a, a 45-degree angle turn and the gas is off.
Awesome, great question, and thank you for that answer. We also have a comment in the chat. Sally
Okay,
says she's made a checklist of what to do on the refrigerator so that everyone in the family can remember what to do if a fire's approaching or if they might have to evacuate. And that's a great practice. Good idea.
definitely. Great. That's awesome. Good to hear. So, inspect your home after the fire. If there's no power, to check to make sure the main breaker is still on. Fires may cause breakers to trip, and if the breakers are on and power is still not present, then maybe you need to call your utility company. Inspect the roof immediately and extinguish any sparks or embers, and wildfires may leave burning embers that could reignite. For several hours afterwards, recheck for smoke and sparks throughout the home, including the attic, and visually check the stability of trees. Any tree that has been weakened by fire may be a hazard. So look for burns on tree trunks. And if the bark on the trunk has been burned off or scorched by very high temperatures, completely around the circumference, the tree's probably not going to survive and should be considered unstable. And again, document all of your damaged possessions. And by taking pictures, you'll be able to easier uh, recover, especially in providing those receipts for your insurance purposes. So I want to show you a little video that's just kind of a highlight of all the things. It's about a 2-minute video, but I think you'll enjoy it. Let's go ahead and play that.
When the fire starts, the flames spread, and things start burning to the ground, you'll ask yourself, how prepared or unprepared are you? Have you trimmed the trees, picked up the leaves, and cleared all the flammable debris? Did you clear a zone at least 30 feet from your home? It's best to work in unity with your entire community. Is your emergency supply kit packed? Are your documents safe? Does your family have a plan and know what to do? Because when the flames come your way, you need to be ready. Stay informed. Check for updates. And if you're told to go, grab your bags and hit the road. Don't dilly-dally or waste any time. Your life could be on the line. Now, if the fire gets near, try not to panic. Do not be frantic. Go as low as you can, covering your mouth and nose. Once the flames are out and the smoke disappears, do not go home until you hear the all clear. When it's time to clean up, put on some gloves, a mask, and long sleeves. It's a good idea, most definitely. So before the fire starts, the flames spread, and things start burning to the ground, get prepared. Make a plan. Practice what you know, because a wildfire can happen anytime, anywhere, even close to home. Get started today. Go to ready.gov/prepare.
I think that's a great recap of things that we talked about today. So we really appreciate you joining us today for this presentation. And before we wrap up, we want to bring to your attention a few things. The first is our Red Cross's emergency app. And this is a free app download that gives people instant access to customizable weather alerts, safety tips, and preparedness information for several different emergencies, all in one free and easy to use apps. Family members and friends across the country can help each other stay safe and connected using the app's customized emergency alerts. And the content is great on what to do before, during, and after disasters, regardless of where you live. I have these alerts set for areas where my family members live in Northern California and Utah and Orange County, so that I can be aware of what's happening in their particular areas. Those are really great, and there's a lot of expert advice on what to do in case of other disasters like tornadoes and hurricanes, earthquakes, floods, thunderstorms, winter storms, as well as the wildfires. So you can also use the Make a Plan feature on that app to create an emergency plan for your household, so that everyone knows what to do and where to go if a disaster strikes. And again, the app is free. It's available in app stores for smartphones and tablets and wearables, and can also be found by searching for American Red Cross or on your app store. And I want to turn some time over to Kim to talk about the Sound the Alarm program.
Thank you, Dave. Yeah, so we do have a Sound the Alarm program coming up. We are working on adapting this program to fit the COVID environment. So we are promoting this out to our community. So that includes all of you, to request free home fire safety consultation. And then after that, you would qualify for free smoke alarms. But we're not able to install those smoke alarms right now due to the area being it's unsafe for all of us to be in contact with one another. So we are not able to install right now, but we would add you to a wait list. So you can sign up at www.soundthealarm.org/SoCal and then click on the link to request the appointment, or you can call 619-354-9609 and leave your name, phone number, and address there for us, and we will get back to you. Our goal for this time is to educate 100,000 people nationwide about home fire safety, and that will be between the dates of April 8th and May 8th. And we would like to help families create an escape plan to practice their 2-minute drill, and to discuss just some other safety information, some of the most common causes of home fires. And then we will be partnering with fire departments to install alarms where it's safe to do so. We do have a few partner fire departments right now, and then we'll be hopefully building that program up in the next few months, but we're not really sure where that's going to go at this time. So if you have any questions about that, you can let us know. I'll have Mel put my email in the chat. So if you have any questions about this Sound the Alarm program, or if you are a community leader and you have a group of individuals that you would like to promote this to, I can provide some resources that you can use to promote this in your community.
Thanks, Kim. What a wonderful program that is. And especially if you're in an older home that didn't have smoke alarms that are installed that are required under new building codes, getting a free smoke alarm in your smoke alarms in your house. What an awesome program that has been, and hopefully we'll be able to start those installations sometime in the near future. You know, home fire safety is so important. As a member of our damage uh, disaster action team for Red Cross. Just this week, we've had I think almost 10 fires in just the inland in just in Riverside County alone, where I live. And so fires happen every day. The most common fires are kitchen fires, but then the second most common is appliances, uh, or some type of electronic equipment failure. So those are more things that you can learn about and how to better prepare and protect yourself from home fires. Awesome.
I see Romeo has a hand raised.
Hey, Romeo.
Uh, Hello.
Yeah, hi. What's your
Hi.
question?
Yes, this is just a concern. I have a eucalyptus tree in front of my tree, and is this safe to maintain or get rid of it?
Well, you know, it's important to make sure that branches don't hang over your home on your roof, and that eucalyptus trees uh, any leaves that might fall off that are cleaned up, especially that accumulate on the roof or rain gutters. Just having a eucalyptus tree in and of itself is not necessarily a problem, but as long as it's a safe distance from the home and it's trimmed back away from the house. I love
Okay.
I love eucalyptus trees. So
Okay. All right. That's a peace of mind. Thank you.
thanks. With you folks, and thank Mel and Kimberly for their assistance today and co-hosting with us. And we hope that you learned something and that you didn't know before. And please, whatever you learned, go ahead and share that with your friends and family members. Okay. Have a wonderful day. Thank you very much for participating.
Thank you all.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.